Was beauty killed the beast?
Since the birth of the horror genre, one astrological placement has been dominating and paving the way. This placement has been the thread secretly connecting the creators and especially the female protagonists of these works as they inspired and built upon one another through the decades. This nakshatra has manifested through its natives to convey a profound message prominent in cinema,
Beast!
which traces back to even the most ancient mythologies. How the cosmic force of feminine purity, intelligence, and beauty is the main thing capable of truly destroying or subduing beastliness at its root. In my last video, I explored how this very same nakshatra, Mula, which extends from 0 to 1320 degrees Sagittarius, is that which powers the collective idea of Belle, the beauty of Beauty and the Beast. And this video will be a special little further character study of this lunar mansion and its ruling planet Ketu. If you have placements in any of the Ketu-ruled nakshatras listed on the screen, there will be important portions of this video that apply to you as well. In my last video, I explored the King Kong thematic connections that emphasize Mula's control over primal forces of nature. Beast has multiple meanings, however, all of which are directly addressed by the Mula force of reality. Beast also alludes to misbehaving members of society out of control or overcome by their animal impulses, which will be the focus of today's video.
Play to the heart is the surest way to kill the beast.
And a third application of the title of Beast is something that I will explore in the next video as I get into the deepest essence of this fairy tale. So Mula's prominence that I've explored in movies being stalked by monsters, predatory animals, or violent and destructive beings leads them to dominating the Scream Queen title. Actresses who are known for being influential in the horror genre.
It's all a movie. It's all one great big movie. You can't pick your genre.
Why can't I be a Meg Ryan movie?
Mula women exercised control over this artistic territory from the very beginning. In fact, it was Mula Moon Fay Ray's iconic role in King Kong, which has earned her the title of the original Scream Queen, as this was a term she first inspired within the press in the 1930s. E.T. published a comprehensive listing of the most influential Scream Queens, and although Mula natives like Fay Ray and Sissy Spacek are often considered earlier examples, it is the Mula ascendant native Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween who analysts seem to unanimously agree was the true complete prototype for the ultimate Scream Queen. And therefore, like almost all lists do, E.T. crowned her number 1.
Terror Train, Prom Night. How come Jamie Lee Curtis is in all of these movies?
She's the Scream Queen. With a set of lungs like that, she should be.
Just as Linda Wolverton wrote Mula Belle as the first proactive woman in the Disney princess genre, Curtis is described as the first woman in horror works to display not just a passive self-defense towards the beastly villain, but her own active form of self-defense. Always just after her, as number 2 on essentially every list, is the Mula Moon native Neve Campbell, who starred in Scream and who evolved this further. Film historians write that she showed that the Scream Queen can not only survive, but thrive.
This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
Not in my movie.
As usual, this title is rooted in Mula but extends to its trine Ketu-ruled nakshatras, Magha and Ashwini. Number 3 on E.T.'s Scream Queen list is Ashwini's son, Sarah Michelle Gellar. The list then moves on to include within the top 10 Mula's son Sarah Paulson, Mula Moon Thaisa Farmiga, Ashwini's son Anya Taylor-Joy, and continues to expand to Mula natives Jennifer Love Hewitt, Vera Farmiga, Bella Thorne, Mila Jovovich, Bella Crampton, Marley Shelton, Naomi Watts, and Rose McGowan, who is another Mula Moon noted by some analysts as one who redefined the Scream Queen when she starred alongside Neve Campbell in Scream. Even the show Scream Queens starred a recurring cast of almost exclusively Ketu nakshatra women. Emma Roberts, Kiki Palmer, Skylar Samuels, Leia Michelle, Abigail Breslin, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Nassim Pedrad. Other commonly referenced and notable Scream Queens, Ketu natives going head-to-head with monsters and monstrous humans, include Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster tried this and a skin-ripping serial killer answered the door.
Victoria Pedretti, Cheryl Lee, Linda Blair, and so many more that I will just flash examples up through this video rather than read them all. Wikipedia's small paragraph on Scream Kings is also dominated by Ketu natives. Analyst Rachel Roth defines the rise of Scream Kings as a result of films moving away from these traditional formulas where men are typically cast as monsters and women are those victims fighting off these monsters. She cites Magha Moon Bruce Campbell as an early example
2 for Evil Dead, please.
for his role in the Evil Dead franchise.
My Evil Dead t-shirt.
And the page then lists 3 other Ketu Nakshatra natives, Mula Moon's Finn Wolfhard and Finn Whitrock, and Ashwini Moon's Sean Roberts. Importantly, within the slasher genre in particular, while Rohini and Hasta were also quite present for actresses in the horror genre, Ketu has strong domination specifically over the prominent trope of the final girl.
The other members of the crew, Kane, Lambert, Parker, Brett, Ash, and Captain Dallas are dead.
The last woman alive to confront the monstrous killer.
It was beauty killed the beast.
She who is left to tell the story when the sun rises in the morning. Something seen for both genders in previously mentioned films like The Naked Prey, Predator, and The Monster.
Thanks for the help, by the way.
Hey, you seem to have a handle on it.
I quote Bloody Disgusting, which lists all 3 Ketu-ruled moons in terms of the progression of the final girl in its early development. Magha Moon Marilyn Burns is criminally overlooked when it comes to final girls. Sally Hardesty and her friends set forth on that trip in Texas Chainsaw Massacre a full 5 years before final girl Ripley, played by Ashwini Moon Sigourney Weaver, survived xenomorphs.
I got you.
And before final girl Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, escaped Michael Myers. The same year as Marilyn Burns, Magha Moon Ashwini's son Olivia Hussey starred as the final girl in the iconic and influential Black Christmas, and so most critics debate whether to call Marilyn Burns or Olivia Hussey the first official final girl, as they both have some of the classic components and are missing some of the others. The final girl is called the active investigative gaze of the film.
Okay, I can access the local library online. I think we can cross-reference and pull up all we need to know. Egan. David.
She's introduced most frequently in a strikingly similar way to that of Belle, as a bookish brunette.
Ah, if it isn't the only bookworm in town.
Look at all the books you have. You need a shopping cart to get home.
Beautiful, aren't they? A soft sheen, a superb gilding, not to mention the centuries of wisdom they contain.
Who is very intelligent.
It could add trillions. I think it's 2.7 trillion to the world economy.
Rising sea levels put most of it underwater.
Thank you, Professor.
Tell me, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood? You don't know?
Costain wrote that fate was somehow related only to religion.
Where, Mr. Potter, would you look if I asked you to find me a bezel?
Whereas Samuels felt that, well, fate was like a natural element, like earth, air, fire, and water.
You interested in books?
Yeah.
Got a question to ask you. Charles knows everything.
Who is socially withdrawn, especially from men.
Not joining in?
I don't do joining in.
Oh, Lori. Scared another one away.
And all the girls were flirting with all the guys up on the beach, and I was just in the water by myself, jumping waves.
Guys think I'm too smart.
Wrong bet.
Usually a virgin and not interested in sex or dating.
He has been so patient with me, you know, with all the sex stuff. How many guys would put up with a girlfriend who's sexually anorexic?
Jamie Lee was always the virgin in horror movies. That's why she always outsmarted the killer in the big chase scene at the end. Only virgins can do that. Don't you know the rules?
You have to be a virgin in this movie in order to kill Billy, okay?
And the only true blue virgin here is Max.
Just in the way the brutish hunter Gaston pursues Belle constantly.
Shall I join you this evening?
Sorry, not this evening.
Is he?
No.
Yet she's the only girl in town with no interest in him.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex.
It's the ones who play hard to get that are always the sweetest prey.
Belle being written by a Mula native to have this bookish nature is often interpreted as an indication of her interest in the inner world.
She could see past surfaces to what lies within. She could see that he was something more than what he appeared to be. She could see Gaston was something more than what he appeared to be.
I believe and trust you. I wouldn't trust that ambitious rat Rudolph, though.
and in the inner life of others as opposed to analyzing appearances, which are traits that become especially important later in her story when I begin in my next video interpreting the mystery of Beast.
Why don't you come along with us? We're on our way to see the wizard now, to get him a heart.
And him a brain.
I'm sure he could give you some courage.
Hermione and Belle are like perfect head and heart girls. They have both. They're super smart, but they also have this incredible empathy and compassion and ability to see kind of beyond things and be non-judgmental.
In slasher films, the way the killers always wear masks begins to allude to this.
I think because we all wear different masks, and we always want to see what's behind the mask, you know, what's hidden.
Mula's function is to face and destroy artifice.
Why are you wearing that stupid bunny suit? Take it off.
Well, I'm sorry, but I can't take the mask off.
You have to.
Whatever in reality hides its true face will be penetrated by the fixation of Mula.
Anyone know this guy?
Which peers into its soul, grabs the roots, and determines whether that being is aligned with order.
Take off your mask or come and get me.
So this collection of traits are meant to immediately make the final girl stand out from others, seemingly more perceptive, resourceful, and alert, preparing her for surviving what is to come. Essentially Belle's introductory song, could be a kind of final girl introduction anthem. So repeatedly in a range of films through the death of her friends or family, an intelligent and pure woman is clashed, like those in the jungle, one-to-one against a predatory, violent monstrosity, this time in human form, towards whom she must perform her cosmic special function, the power of Mula, which is applying violence to violence, by either killing or subduing him.
Didn't you hear what I said? No more killing tonight! Is that hard to understand?
The film titled The Final Girls takes a meta approach to this stereotype and stars 2, potentially 3 Mula women.
This smoking hot girl called Paula, she arrives in the next reel. She's the final girl. She is the only one in this movie who doesn't die. All we gotta do is stick with her and we're gonna have the best seats in the house.
Struggling to take their rightful place as cosmic final girl when they find themselves trapped in a movie.
I need to nominate a new final girl, and I'm willing to be it.
You're not a virgin.
I am, too, a virgin. I technically am that. Whatever, what does it matter?
Because it just does, Vicky.
In general, the slasher genre and its various franchises has been dominated by not just Mula actresses, but also writers and directors, such as Mula ascendant Wes Craven, known for his pioneering work in the slasher genre with films like Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, and The Last House on the Left. Magha Victor Miller is responsible for the Friday the 13th slasher franchise, and I will list more by K2 creators on the screen now. It's fascinating that one feature of slasher films, especially in the hand of the final girl, is a fire poker, which is a common household metal object with both a poker and a hook on it, similar to the ankusha, one of the symbols of Mula, the elephant code. It seems like a form of modern intuitive connection to this symbolic object meant for directing animals, placed in the hand of the Mula woman as she overcomes the untamed animal nature in a predator victimizing her. Carol Clover, who coined the term final girl, writes that the killer over time has been variously figured as shark, fog, gorilla, birds, and slime, but the victim is eternally and prototypically the damsel. She's the first character to sense something amiss.
Dogs don't got teeth like this.
It's just the whales sound usually around fishing lanes. They don't like the noise.
And the only one to deduce from accumulating evidence the pattern and extent of the threat.
What if it's some kind of monster?
You saw a monster from a children's story?
It fought and killed a bear with its hands, easily.
Yeah, what if it's some kind of monster?
Who eventually, I quote, outwits and sometimes even subdues her would-be killer. In Scream, Neve Campbell even kills one of the murderers by crushing him with a TV that's playing a scene of Jamie Lee Curtis, a powerful double layering of this Mula final girl symbolism. Everything I've covered so far in the past 2 videos plays out too in Mula individuals as the main faces and creature features revolving around giant or uncontrolled sharks, lions, dinosaurs, or other monstrosities like frequent Mula B-movie actresses Brooke Hogan,
of a bitch!
Christy Swanson,
Son of a bitch, I got a surprise for you.
Carmen Electra, and Tara Reid.
I told you it was a bad idea to go ashore.
As usual, I should have listened to you.
The Mula Sun native Steven Spielberg popularized this kind of film greatly and brought the genre out of B-movie territory and into the mainstream with films like Jurassic Park about a theme park island of dangerous dinosaurs and Jaws about the hunt for a massive shark, which Spielberg was inspired by King Kong to create.
Here's that King Kong dialogue. When they run into the jungle, they're all talking. Yeah. They had like 40 extras. Everybody had about 3 lines to say, and they all overlapped each other. It was terrific. They haven't made a movie like that since King Kong.
The final installment of the Jaws series ends with a Mula Moon native killing the last known oversized shark through driving a ship down its throat. This inspired many Ketu starring creature or beast horror features, including Beast, Eight-Legged Freaks.
I want everyone to arm themselves immediately. Giant spiders are all over the town.
Lake Placid.
Are they feeding? They aren't feeding. They're scared.
And The Ghost in the Darkness, a creature feature about a town being terrorized by man-eating lions.
There are over 40 dead. I'm going to locate Remington. I assume you've heard of him.
Every man who's ever hunted has heard of him.
When the local people can do nothing to kill them, they commission a famous lion hunter, portrayed by Mula Moon Michael Douglas, to finish the job.
Now, I'm gonna help you by killing the lions, then leaving. And you're gonna help me by doing what I say so I can leave.
In these films, emphasizing Mula's special love and recognition of the cosmic purpose of brawn and beastly power when directed correctly, the Mula native's intelligence and active investigating gaze is turned towards the creature.
Why did they leave? Sound waves. They retreat from the pulse. It doesn't last long, but they keep coming back.
She's alert to the predator.
But if it's a squid, it's bigger. It's bigger than anything on record. It's huge.
There was a bear, but there was something else, and it was huge.
More attuned to his potential dangers and weaknesses far before those around her.
We need to call for help.
Look where?
Behind the bush.
I don't see anything.
Guy who drove by so fast.
I mean, the only thing I do know, this is definitely a predator.
It's just a coincidence.
I'm telling you it was him, Allie.
Jennifer's evil.
I know.
No, I mean, she's actually evil, not high school evil.
She also predicts the actions of the violent one better than any of the people in her company.
No, the basement's a bad idea. They could just pour gas down the stairs and throw in a match. We should stay in there and keep boarding up the windows.
Which proves to be deeply protective.
It's not a cage, baby. It's a trap.
In many cases, he is then more aware of her as well, stalking her with extra fixation or saving her for last.
Michael's pursuit of Laurie Strode could be what keeps him alive. I would suspect the notion of being a predator or the fear of becoming prey
Who is this?
keeps both of them alive.
Most typically, the Mula native is cast as some form of biologist.
Do you remember my daughter, Suyin, our chief marine biologist?
Hi. Mr. Miller, I would like you to meet Dr. Sandy Powers. She's from the Pacific Marine Institute on the mainland. She'll be able to tell us if this is our shark.
Zoologist or doctor.
It's bioluminescent phytoplankton.
If there's a statistical correlation between schizophrenia and an enlarged pineal,
It uses the tiny vortices in its scales to suction cup from one grain to the next.
It's a resemblance to amphibian tissue. These hair follicles would seem to rule it out.
Neurons are becoming hyperosmotic.
Did AVO and the analysis showed dramatically increasing amplitude.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, girl.
With unique education and insight into the beast's instinct,
The neck could bite the welt in half, crashing through the bones.
that she's able to use to kill the creature when others cannot.
It's helioplastic.
Yeah, you said that.
So it likes the deep cold. We heat the tank.
If the vibrations were strong enough, we could lure the sharks wherever we wanted them. Sharks are attracted to movement and vibration. It'll work perfect.
But I know shark anatomy, and I know where this can penetrate the megalodon's skin.
It's using the air shafts. We'll move in pairs. We'll go step by step and cut off every bulkhead and every vent until we have it cornered, and then we'll blow it the fuck out into space.
Happy Halloween, Michael.
The sharks, they've evolved minds and they have a heightened sense of hearing.
It must be the frequency.
Maybe we can use the alarm to scare them away.
The horror director Jordan Peele can have Mula Moon, and he publicly cited King Kong, Jurassic Park, and Wizard of Oz as movies which inspired his film Nope, about a group of horse trainers who hunt a mysterious flying beast.
It ain't the men. It ain't them all.
It's alive, Em.
It's an animal. It's territorial. And it thinks that this is its home.
It is the final girl, the Mula Moon native Kiki Palmer, who is eventually responsible for the beast's death. And it's also a Mula native in the film who first recognizes the beast and even begins attempting to tame it and feed it for show.
We're not the reason it settled down here. That was Juke. He got caught up trying to tame a predator.
The cave follows two Mula natives as the final people in a cave of monstrous creatures.
First scout consolation. You and I aren't that different.
The Mula man, who is the brawn that beheads a creature at a key moment. And the Mula Moon woman as the investigative gaze doctor scientist,
Dr. Jennings.
It's good to meet you.
who deciphers how the beasts function.
Over time, they've adapted. Lost pigmentation and sight, developed a heightened sense of hearing and smell.
The movie Feast plays on this Mula trope and subverts it purposefully by having a Mula Moon native, Eric Dane, called only the hero,
A storm of hell's coming down on this place any second.
begin the film by barging into a bar with a beast's head in hand, warning the people of a monster invasion.
All I do know is that these fuckers are fast, nasty, and hungry. They got claws like Ginsu knives and more teeth than a chainsaw.
And claiming he is going to save them.
Any questions?
Yeah, who the hell are you?
To subvert the trope, remove the protection, and make the situation seem comedically dire,
I'm the guy that's gonna save your ass.
the writers killed the Mula native immediately.
Oh my god, Kurt! Oh my god! Paula! She's still alive!
Paula, don't move!
They did the same with the original Mula final girl Paula in The Final Girls,
Paula was the only one that could kill Billy. We're screwed.
which is what caused them to need to nominate Thaisa Farmiga as the new final girl.
They need you in this place for a reason. Why are you saying that? I think you're the only one who can stop them.
Even Dorothy is introduced in Oz in such a heroic way. The Munchkins sing Ding Dong the Witch is Dead in celebration of how Dorothy crushed the wicked witch who had been ceaselessly tormenting them with her house upon arriving.
We thank you very sweetly for doing it so neatly. You've killed us so completely that we thank you very sweetly.
I'm not afraid of you. Do your worst, but I will never be afraid of you.
Afraid of you.
Them starring Joan Weldon as the scientist, Monster Hunter and Resident Evil starring Mula's son Mila Jovovich, Snakes on a Plane,
I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Everybody strap in. I'm about to open some fucking windows.
Kong Skull Island,
Would you look at that? It bleeds.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
and Deep Blue Sea starring Mula's son Samuel L. Jackson,
Just what the hell did you do to those sharks?
are some of many other examples of Mula's strong connection to creature features. The outfits the Mula natives wear in these jungle films and creature features reminds me of my old Nakshatra fashion series, where I noticed the street style of Mula natives included green safari jackets and brownish green leather, which called to my mind Ketu's gem cat's eye. There were also big safari type hats and similar clothing for Mula men in terms of jackets, as well as safari style boots, often in animal derived materials like leather or furs of the animals they've hunted, decorated with various products of predators like sharp teeth or claws. So to this day, those observations that seemed mainly for fun ended up having deep meanings about the way we almost seem to dress in extremely toned down, subtle costumes of sorts that relate to what we may unconsciously know is our cosmic function.
I'm gonna kill that mother.
It was the Mula Moon native Ray Harryhausen who is essentially the creature feature genre creator. He's called the Monster Maestro, known for monster film special effects, and he loved King Kong to such an extent that he attributes his career to being inspired by the film. All of these films, and especially King Kong, have their deepest cultural influences from the tale of Frankenstein by the Mula Moon native Mary Shelley. Frankenstein's monster is often described as the creature, a misunderstood, physically strong beast who is killed, and in a King Kong, Fay Wray-esque manner, Shelley's writing is a kind of exercise in empathy towards an anguished, outcasted being of that kind who is eventually hunted by his own creator, something I'll unpack in more depth later in the series. Freeway Freeway is based on Little Red Riding Hood
Some big ugly fucking teeth you got, Bob.
and stars Mula Moon Reese Witherspoon as a hitchhiker who's picked up by a serial killer. Only she, however, is able to pick up on his violent secret early enough to take action, defend herself, and debilitate him.
I'm gonna fucking kill you for this.
Just settle down, Bob.
When he is found not guilty, as even the authorities can't see into his true nature, she takes it upon herself as Cosmic Final Girl to destroy him. The movie Beast, starring Mula's son Jesse Buckley, follows the same arc. She initially feels attracted to and dates someone she doesn't realize is a serial killer. When no authorities in the town are able to figure out who he is, and they accuse the wrong man, it's she who eventually figures out it's been him, soothes him into admitting it,
You had a sickness and it overpowered you. And you fought it for a long time and now you're better. And I need to hear you say it.
and takes it upon herself to kill him for what he's done. So in these tales, it's shown both her ability to debilitate the killer as well as the natural attraction to her that the violent one feels.
I never thought I was ever gonna want to kill again. And then there was you, my muse. You inspired me.
In Willy's Wonderland, Mula's son Nicolas Cage does the same thing. He plays a quiet drifter who is tricked into being locked overnight as a sacrifice to animal animatronics, which are possessed by the spirits of dead serial killers.
You don't understand. You locked the wrong guy up in here. He's not trapped in here with them. They're trapped in here with him.
Instead of being killed by them, however, he annihilates each one of them, an interesting layered symbolism with the combining of fighting large animals as well as serial killers. This layered symbolism, showing the lack of control over the animal nature of the violent members of society, is also hinted at in the horror genre in general, when frequently the masks that the killers wear are of animal faces. The serial killer in the Creep series, for example, often wears a wolf mask and continues to succeed in killing people until his final would-be victim.
Knife. I'm coming. 1 minute.
A Mula woman who he spends all of Creep 2 trying and failing to scare.
You still haven't answered my question about my mask.
I think it's cute.
Have you ever been around a beast like me before? I'd rather be feared than laughed at.
And who slays him at the end. This is just as the wolf in Red Riding Hood tales is interpreted as a way to teach children about the potential dangers of strangers who could be kidnappers or murderers in disguise. In terms of the final girl's investigative gaze, the shadow planets Rahu and Ketu have special connections to gaining hidden information. Rahu's focuses on data, surveillance, preventative measures relating to the future, to spies, and to whistleblowers. Ketu in particular has unique instincts that rise to the surface, similar to that of an animal being alert to a predator.
Something's wrong. Don't start that.
Their investigation begins with a feeling, which is hard to define.
I heard it run out in the road.
It's probably just running.
From what?
Which they can't necessarily back up with evidence, and which those around them who have less mastery over the animal nature and unconscious mind are completely unaware of.
Did you change medications recently?
Jesus Christ, I'm not crazy.
Needy, I think you need help.
Oh my God, you don't believe me.
Do you not believe me? Well, how about this? I really want to believe.
In that way, films depict them as being seen as somewhat wild, conspiratorial,
which means that the grabber has to live somewhere in this area,
or crazy in certain instances.
Demonic transference.
Some 100 yards beneath the surface of the earth exists a metropolis.
And yet typically being correct, such as the Magha Moon native James Ransone in Black Phone, or the Andrew Garfield film Under the Silver Lake, as he uncovers a number of dark secrets and conspiracies hidden beneath the surface of Los Angeles' glamorous facade.
When two separate events occur simultaneously pertaining to the same object of inquiry, we must always pay strict attention.
In Digging Up the Morrow, it is only a Magha native who investigates and becomes attuned to the fact that there are outcast beings that people refer to as monsters hiding in cities under the ground.
Here we are at the residence of Mr. William Decker. Detective William Decker, the monster hunter guy.
Who he ends up empathetically caring for and feeding, like Magha's Newt Scamander and Hagrid. Throughout the film, he's referred to as crazy by everyone around him.
What is the Loch Ness Monster? We're two super duper snoopers. Give us a mystery.
So the heightened awareness relating to outside dangers causes the Ketu native in the film to begin noticing details and uncovering truth, discovering clues, and destroying the falsehoods.
Give us a thing that makes no sense. Look at us gather evidence. A fingerprint, a ball of lint, the slight aroma of peppermint. A film of soap, a strand of rope. Throw it beneath our microscope.
There it is. Oh my God, here it is.
In that way, detective works and films tend to have large Ketu connections.
Oh, I'm Clarice Starling. I'm with the FBI.
Like those of the best-selling mystery novelist Agatha Christie with Mula. The Mula Magha native Kristen Ritter took on the role of Marvel's Jessica Jones, a private investigator who founded the Alias Investigations Detective Agency. Magha Moon's Mary-Kate and Ashley starred as the Little Detectives in their Adventures series. It was Mula Moon Emma Roberts who took on the role of the teenage amateur sleuth, Nancy Drew, and it was Magha Moon Michelle Trachtenberg who starred as Nickelodeon's Harriet the Spy. Magnum P.I. was portrayed by the Magha Moon Tom Selleck.
We're super duper snoopers, first class private eyes.
Magha Moon Kyle MacLachlan played an iconic detective in Twin Peaks, and Humphrey Bogart did so in The Big Sleep. Ace Ventura Pet Detectives was written by a Mula Moon native, which combines Ketu's association with both solving mysteries and caring for animals, just as Mula and Ketu Nakshatras feel a special connection to the horror or slasher genres, which gross out or disturb many others.
Black cats howling in the dark. Who knows who deep in the park? Frightful sights that make you real uncomfortable and wary. Everything that's dark and hairy makes you squirm because it's very, 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 very unbelievably scary.
In this context, and in relation to the information I'll explore as I go, they are also willing to face and research those things that are dark.
I've been through the occult section at the library 5 times.
Some bibliophiles specialize in Gothic novels, others in books of hours. All my own rare editions have the same protagonist, the devil.
Abnormal, grotesque, outcasted, beastly.
Seen some strange things, but this is way off the map. I'm having a hard time believing.
Harry, is it easier to believe a man would rape and murder his own daughter? Any more comforting?
There's some kind of connection between her, the old carnival, and the Miles County clown. Something really bad's gonna happen tonight. I know it.
Cursed, and so on.
Dirt and rust have no effect on the blade. It only takes in that which makes it stronger.
He's everything you've ever wanted in a subject. You have to chase this.
Notorious. Yes. I'd like to know more about him.
And to deal with such aversive forces until the secret of such things unlocks.
Well, it's a symbol of the Cree Indians.
It's a symbol associated with the worship of a pagan deity.
A deity? What kind of deity?
A very obscure one, dating back to Babylonian times, named Bagul.
Please, Bulk is merely a phallic symbol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ultimately castrated.
In that way, they are the best at obliterating the illusion of surfaces and determining what should be destroyed or what should be saved.
You are brilliant, Hermione. Truly.
Actually, I'm highly logical, which allows me to look past extraneous detail and perceive clearly that which others overlook.
Yeah.
This guy's not bad. Definitely one of those people Gully says deserves a closer look.
At times, instead of deep corruption at the roots, the Mula native finds potential worth preserving hidden in the grotesque and beastly exteriors which fall under their domain, and that's where I'll begin the next video, in the character study of Beast himself and his interaction with beauty Mula. In that video, I'm also going to explore some ancient mythologies relating to the concept that in various myths, a form of the goddess is created to destroy demons that male gods cannot overcome.
Hey, leverfuck!
But here I will just note that this idea of beast hunting requires the feminine Stree power of Ketu. This can also be reflected in that Ketu was said to have been born in Ashlesha Nakshatra, where I explored the idea of the taming power of the small. The physical strength men have over women requires women to possess stronger capacity to manipulate, predict, and energetically control that which is brawnier than they are for safety and survival.
On one side there's the panther, on the other his prey, the rabbit. He sits unafraid, he smokes his pipe. It's a traditional motif.
Why is he unafraid?
Because he's smarter than the panther.
This same inherently feminine power is required for either women or men in their fight against beasts, like the jungle animals from part 1. Although sometimes physically strong, even they typically must overcome the beasts through some form of cunning, using the creature's immense physical size or strength against itself, grappling with some oversized but uncontrolled thing by carefully predicting and planning its actions rather than only through direct force and contact. So this reflects in what Clover writes of the final girl. Although she is always smaller and weaker than the killer, she grapples with him energetically and convincingly.
Jason! You can stop now. It's okay.
In this way, filmmakers notice a natural empathy and deeper interest that overcomes both male and female audience members in taking the perspective of the feminine in these roles, as it reflects a form of self-defense, vigilance, and intelligence women in daily society must always be grappling with. The audience essentially experiences this unique position as a vulnerable being with less physical strength who overcomes her monstrous assailant with her own effeminate form of defensive mental warfare. Now, in terms of the hidden meaning behind the final girl's virginal purity, I quote, "Should Rita, order, or dharma be disregarded, Nirati is there. She is nature's revenge on the offender against Rita. It recites those who wound as is their custom, those who speak artlessly, or those who, by habit, violate the Shining One. May Soma either deliver them to the serpent or place them in the lap of Nirati." Brihat Jataka alludes to the inherent peacefulness that is present here in its words that those born in Mula are not inclined to wound other men. There is not uncontrolled or a dharmic violence present within.
You don't enjoy killing, do you?
Then why do it? Because I've got a gift.
And that is why the evolved Mula native can wield such forces as great beasts and forces of nature under their will constructively and enact the most extreme possible forms of violence.
Where's Felix?
I stuck a blender in his head and killed him.
And as the final girl's name implies, specifically when all others fail to do so.
Anything that can survive at that depth is
indestructible.
No. Your heart. It is through her purity and alignment that she has the cosmic right to violence because she only preys on those who are preying on others.
Where is he?
Killed her too.
The final girl trope uses her protective physical metaphor of virginity.
You just fucked with the wrong virgin.
To portray a deep internal idea that is so intertwined with the horror genre that calamity and violence exists only when properly used to purge impurity.
How are we supposed to know that you were really good at killing people? Which is actually sort of weird, by the way.
And so Mula only uproots that which is disordered, feeding on that which is dirty. Only the one oriented into true and total energetic purity can overcome such impurity, while those who are in their own ways defiled or distant from truth, symbolized as various negative traits in horror movies, cannot do so because they have more in common with the killer, sharing with him being somehow negatively under their animal instincts.
No, the sin factor. It's a sin. It's an extension of number 1.
Purity shows one over anything else, aligned with their dharma, engaging in no actions that deviate from their true nature, their purpose and spiritual place, which would defile them. And because Mula is all about alignment with the dharma, and like an animal, almost being inseparable from it, only they can carry out the greatest acts of destruction in this Keter state. This all tangibly deepens the understanding of Mula's traditional Shakti. Mula's basis above is breaking things apart. Its basis below is crushing things. Through these, one gains the power to destroy something that is destructive, or to destroy destruction.
Look, we just have to get his machete into Max's hands so she can chop his head off, end the movie, and we can all go home.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to show me and the YouTube algorithm in some way, such as liking, sharing, or commenting below. For an analysis of how each planet specifically functions in Mula, you can find that on my Patreon. So now I'm finally done with most of the necessary related foundational information about Mula and this nakshatra's connection to Belle, required to tell the total Beauty and the Beast story. So what's next is that I will introduce and explore Beast Nakshatra and then explore these two together to finish the tale in the next video. On another note, I've started making short form astrology videos too, so you can find those here on Instagram and now on TikTok. Thank you to my patrons who made this video possible. My Ray Body level patrons are listed on the screen now, and a special thanks again to my very generous Abhijit level patrons, Ashley De La Cruz, Maddie DRX, Semia Hogan, Crystal Perales, Jazz, Eric Linden, Stephanie Cruz, Nikki, Bella, Juliana Sanz, E, TTHP, Murti, Tanya Allen, William Rivera, Monica Lewandowski, Ryan Loden, Cozy, October Ariana, Andrew Plays Piano, Andre, Aaron Shade, Anna R, Ashley Rose, Afia Vassal, Masha, Nexus, Haya, Antoine Sharp, Instant Numerology, Ed Peterson, Emily Moon, Christina Solano, Elab X, Maya, Joanne Schultz, Nadia Samanich, Sergey Polovenko, Kenneth Tran, Divine Shine, Carl Wilden, and Alex Durin. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.